What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 74 of the Sasha T Show. We're back with the fourth episode of Sports Card Talk with Shaya and Michael. And I think at this point they don't need any introduction, but just in case there's some new people watching, we'll go ahead and Shaya and Michael will kind of give a little bit of background on themselves. Just a short one, I guess. I think most people know you, but just a quick little wrap up on yourself. Michael, you can go first.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Michael, and I go by Coleman_cards on IG.
I'm Shaya. I go by @SteelerCards on Instagram, and I'm based in Los Angeles.
Nice. Okay, a bunch of stuff has happened since we last talked, and the majority of what like everybody's talking about is these prices that we're seeing, right? Prices are literally at prices we've literally never seen before, right? LeBron Chrome 10s are at $15K. Giannis is at 4.2. Kawhi, which Shia loves, is at 3.5. Right? These are unheard of prices. So first, I just wanted to get your thoughts on how are you feeling about these price points, and then we'll kind of jump into how are you navigating the market. But just in general, how are you guys feeling so far about these prices?
Go ahead, Shaya.
I go. So I'm pretty much just going with it for some of these players. I think for some of these players, it's ridiculous that they're going for so much.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lonnie Walker silver PSA 10 should be $250. A Kyle Guy silver PSA 10 doing $100. Bol Bol, I sold 2 Prism rookies yesterday for $60. Like that's to me, some of this stuff is ridiculous, and I think even Gary posted it today. There will be, with all this prosperity, there's going to be vulnerability. So I do think there will be a pullback for a lot of these. But I think the way to go is just with the big guys, just like we talked about at the end of our last episode.
For sure.
Yeah, so to jump on that, everything's high right now, and we've kind of been in this, no pun intended, bubble, if you will, of like the last 2 months of everybody looking for value and looking for guys that nobody's thinking about. So all those prices are now going up, and scrimmages have started as of yesterday. So we're going to start seeing how this performance actually plays out and see if the hype can live up to it. And naturally, it really does happen every year anyway, even though this is a completely different market, that right before the playoffs, we see kind of highs across the board as everyone's, placing their bets, if you will, on who will perform well in the playoffs. And then naturally, some of those prices will trail off as people get knocked out or don't perform well and everything. So I think we're kind of seeing what we always naturally see. It's just on steroids right now with these prices going to historical highs.
So are you guys kind of expecting, I don't think people understand not everybody can do well in the playoffs, right? So but there's, Lonzo Ball's at 200 for a PSA 10, Kyle Kuzma's at 200 for a PSA 10. Just good dudes, but not amazing, right? Are selling for a couple $100 now. Are you, and you can even say Shea, what is his PSA 10 selling at
$1,000 for a silver PSA 10?
Are you guys expecting, just like how you guys said, when these guys start to get knocked out, are you expecting to see a 30% sort of dip or even more?
Mike, do you want to go or me?
Sure. It's really hard to say, just because we've never seen a market like this ever.
Yeah.
So I would say 20 to 30% dip is something that I could absolutely foresee with a lot of these guys that you're mentioning, like Lonzo Ball and Kuzma and everything like that. I also think there's only a finite amount of these cards, and there's so many people coming in that I think that could really steady the prices and keep the prices where they're at. It's really anybody's guess. I would just say as prices rise, your caution in buying should always rise. Just because as the price rises, that means that the amount that you could be making off of it if you were to enter is dwindling. So, it's anybody's guess. I'm not going to sit here and think and say that everything's going to go down 20 or 30% on a lot of these guys, just because we've never seen anything like this market. And things might steady off even with these prices just because there's only so many cards. But I would probably lean towards we're going to see some decent declines on a lot of these guys that have shot up for no reason other than people trying to find value.
To agree with what Mr. Mike said, I do think there will be a dip because I was talking with a couple of my friends, including Sasha actually, and there can only be one winner in the playoffs. There's going to be 15 teams losing, and there's going to be one winner at the end of all of it. So at the end of the day, the chances are is whatever guy you're holding is going to lose.
Yeah.
So that's why I would suggest buying the LeBron, the Kawhi, the Giannis, all those guys, because those guys have the highest chance. If you're going to go and buy, let's say, Shea, who's a great player, great potential in the coming years, but Shea is a very interesting one because his prism is very hard to grade. So that's why there's such a high price to it. That's the main reason, because it's almost impossible to grade his cards. So that is one thing. But, like, for instance, Kuzma, Lonnie Walker, these guys, like Kuzma's on a great team, but how big of a role is he going to have? Is he going to be the winning player on the Lakers? Probably not. Yeah. So I would caution. I don't think these prices will sustain once people lose, but I do think there will be a more of a run-up until people start getting knocked out. Like if Zion comes back, drops 25, dunks on 3 people, okay, you're going to see everything rise. But once Pelicans get knocked out, you're going to see a dip. It's just going to be a run-up and a dip. And then a buy-up once again. So that's what I think is going to happen, but nothing's guaranteed right now.
One thing that you did mention was like the LeBrons, the Giannis, like Kawhis, those types of guys. I don't know, like what I'm seeing and like in the people I talk to, you know, there's people that are like, look, I'm cashing out because I've made, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6x on these cards. I'm cool with, you know, turning, you know, I don't know, $2,000 to 15, whatever, and cashing out. But then there's other guys that are like, hey, look, this market is just going to continue to grow. Like Michael, you mentioned, there's only a select few of these cards, and if you know this market continues to go the way it is going, we could be seeing these prices get even crazier and crazier. What are your kind of thoughts on you know people that are selling right now and then people that are holding, and how are you guys also kind of going about it with your personal stuff?
Go ahead.
I go. I'm personally holding Braun and Kawhi. I don't have Giannis at the moment because I personally think he's too expensive, in my opinion, for the value of the other guys. And I think I wouldn't sell personally because if LeBron or Kawhi wins the chip, which there is a high chance that they will, it's going to be to the point that their cards are so expensive that if you don't have them already, it's going to be out of budget. The Chrome PSA 10s will probably hit 20, maybe 25. I think we could pretty much agree on that if they're 15 right now. And people think Kawhi's could hit up to 10K because they say 3 finals MVPs. If he is the finals MVP, he wins. He could be in the top 5 of all time conversation. And at that point, it could be a 8K card, maybe 10. It's a pop 800 or something. So I'm personally holding. You're just putting your bet on one of the biggest percentages to win. So I'm personally holding because I think if I sell and they win, it's going to be out of reach. So I think that's the smarter play personally.
I would agree with Shaya on that very much so. If Giannis or Kawhi or LeBron wins, those prices are going to go even crazier than they are now. But I could also see a world where they only go up 1.5x because so much of the hype of them winning is already built into the price right now. It's hard to say, but all I know is, you know, if one of those guys wins it, I want to have their cards in hand. I don't want to be buying it or, you know, having to wait for a dip that just may never come on one of those guys. But for me personally, with prices so high, and my situation is obviously a little bit different because I do this full time, so I have to sell. The only thing that I'm desperately holding on to right now is LeBron cards. LeBron Topps Chrome, LeBron rookie cards, kind of any LeBrons I can get my hands on, even though I am moving some, but the ones that I really have a death grip on are my Topps Chrome rookie cards. Because although they've gone up to, you know, really high prices to where if I did cash out, I would be making a lot of money. The fact of the matter is I don't know what else I could buy with that money that's a better investment than what those cards are and what they'll continue to be. I don't know. I mean, I think we could see a correction on LeBron Topps Chrome for sure. Like we could see some receding prices if things get too high and, Lakers get bounced or something like that. Or if any sort of like, economic market force hits. But at the end of the day, LeBron, even without this hot market that we're in right now, LeBron cards have always been steadily going up, and they've had surges and then small corrections and surges again. So, and the demand for LeBron is just so real. Every single person that is entering the market who knows nothing about cards knows who LeBron James is and usually wants that rookie card. And that LeBron James Topps Chrome is just becoming so iconic. It's basically the LeBron James not auto rookie card that everybody wants. And all the underrated LeBron James rookie cards that people will say, oh, this is undervalued or this is underpriced. I mean, I understand their points and stuff, but the fact of the matter is there can only really be one rookie card that everyone agrees on is the rookie card, and that's the Topps Chrome. So for me, I'm holding until I have to sell to where I can't afford it anymore. But that being said, like if LeBron James Topps Chrome of mine goes up to $20,000 and I figure out something smart to do with the money, sure, I'll cash out. So that's where I'm at.
It's funny because just like I think it was a month ago when we were looking at that refractor on eBay, we were like, well, if it crosses to a 9.5, that could be worth like 20, 25. But now that card just as a BGS 9 is worth like 20K.
Right. It appreciates faster than we could even flip it.
Exactly. So it's like, it's crazy to see the demand for LeBron. I remember when you were at the show last week or the week before, everybody was asking about your LeBron Chromes. Everybody, and that just tells you that like what the demand is like. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were buying LeBron Chromes for their friends, like just bidding them on eBay. Like people just want the card, which is insane to see. And it's more interesting to see like with the sneaker people coming in and all that sort of stuff, because they also think that's the card they want because LeBron is their idol, right? So it's really getting crazy with LeBron cards. And just like you guys said, like what happens if he wins a chip? Realistically, what happens? I think Shaya, you said 20K, right? 20
for Braun?
For Braun, let's say Braun.
Probably 20K, probably higher.
See, I think it could get nutty. I think it can get like in the world we're living in right now, like
25.
I think it can get higher, dude.
30?
I think it could be like, I think it can get nutty. Not so much him winning the chip, but him winning the chip in this market. That's what I think. Like, I think we can be in a world where that thing goes to like 40 to 50. Like, and I know that seems insane, but like, just look at this market we're in. This card's 15K right now. Last year it was 1,200 to 2K, somewhere around there. Right? It like 13x'd, right? That's insane. Like, you going to somebody who's an investor and saying, look, I can earn 14. Last year, if you put your money into this and you would have 14 extra money, they'll be like, what the fuck? But like, that's the market we're in. So like, if him winning a chip and this market continuing to grow, like I think it can get nutty. But
I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I mean, it was only like a month and a half ago when I was on Chris's podcast, Conversations with Chris.
Yeah.
One of our last thoughts was, okay, LeBron's at 10K right now. Where do you foresee this? Oh, no, LeBron wasn't even 10K yet.
It was like 6. It wasn't like 6 or 7.
Like 7 or 8K maybe.
Yeah.
And, we were talking about could it get to 10K? Or we were talking about what we think will happen with it, I believe. And I said, look, I think if it gets to 10K, a lot of people are going to think of what they could do with 10K and they're going to cash out.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I'm sure some people did that. But Chris was like, I'm going to just, take a hot take here and say 20K. And I think he said 20K if the Lakers win it.
Yeah.
So we're 2 weeks away from the season. Or I'm sorry, less than 2 weeks. I mean, 10 days or whatever it is, a week away from the season. And the card's already at $16,000. Like we saw a $16,000 sale. So it's almost to what he miraculously, said it would be. And that was if the Lakers win it. So, when you say about things getting nutty, I just don't second guess or disbelieve anything anymore. We have no idea. All we know is the demand is very real. There's only so many of these cards. and there's a lot of money coming in. And it doesn't mean that it's not like stocks where there's a, unlimited supply. So this could not crash. I'm seeing slower buying on LeBron Chrome right now. So like if you're checking sold listings and stuff, you're only seeing maybe a couple sell a day. Whereas like, in the heat of that run up from 7K to 15K, there was like probably 10 to 15 sales a day, maybe.
Yeah.
So we're seeing smaller, which means that it might be starting to steady off. But that doesn't mean that we can't see another surge that comes in based off of performance.
How are you guys feeling with like with more and more people that have a lot of popularity behind them, right? I think we're kind of starting to see more and more where these guys are starting to get into cards, talk about cards, right, and bring more people into the hobby. Like, are you guys kind of scared about that? Are you excited for that? Just because in general, there's more people coming in to the hobby. No, I'm not really talking about just people like starting to talk, random people starting to talk about cards. I'm more saying like news reporters and rappers and NBA players that are kind of showing off their collection, right?
Go for it, Shai.
I personally like it. I don't like. There's a lot of people that complain about that type of stuff, and that's one of my pet peeves. Because honestly, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you can really do. You just gotta. I know I was in a live the other day, and some people were saying that like before they were complaining about guys like Gary Vee entering the hobby, and at the end of the day, there's not much you can do about it. You just gotta ride the wave, and personally, I enjoy it. You just gotta do your research. You don't buy when he says go buy Mookie Betts. You gotta figure out who do you think his next buy is gonna be. You make bank on whatever you think that is, and then go buy whatever card you're after. You're truly after, because if you're not after Mookie Betts. And I feel it's just bringing more popularity to the hobby, and I think at the end of the day, it's gonna make it on another level. I said this to one of my friends the other day. I don't know if it'll still be a hobby in a couple months to a year for people. I feel like it's turning into more of an industry of more business minded, because it's getting way too expensive for people to just have fun at it. The cheapest basketball box you can get these days for a hobby box is like $400, $500. Like no kid can go to the card shop these days and get a $80 box to have fun and pull a Luka. Like that just doesn't. It's not like that anymore, unfortunately.
I think I agree with Shia. I don't think any of it's bad. I just think it's what's happening, and there's nothing like Shia says. There's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is adapt, and I think it's exciting because we're seeing rapid change in the hobby, and it is turning into an investment medium. But it's always been an investment medium. Especially with high end guys and stuff like that. It always has been for years. It's just now it's even more so, and there's more money coming in. And like Rob at Burbank Sports Cards said in a video that he posted, there's so much transparency now that we see how much investing is going on. And so people are starting to point fingers and say, oh, the hobby is completely chock full of investors. And it's like, always been like this. I mean, to an extent, it's much more so now, but it's always been like this. We just haven't had the transparency. And now that we have the transparency, it gives people tons of confidence to buy, to invest, and it's creating more of an investment atmosphere. But there's still so many cards. There's so many cards that are not investment cards that are way more geared towards collectors. And what usually happens is collectors go after those cards. Investors see that they're hot cards and that there's potential for them to grow based off of demand for the card, based off collectors. And then that card turns into an investment card. Look at Genesis or anything like that. Collectors jump on it first and say like, oh, it's a beautiful card and it's rare. So, it's more coveted. We want that. We like that. And, it's desirability and rarity, as Nat Turner says. And then all of a sudden, boom, the price gets driven up. So, and then investors jump on board. So I don't think any of it's bad. I think it's easy to say it's bad because we need somebody to blame for the fact that we didn't make the decision to get in it before or anything like that. And, for me personally, it's just being grateful for what I have and grateful for the fact that I've been able to taste some success doing this. And there's a ton of success that was left on the table by me not making decisions and not entering fast enough and everything like that. But you can't really look at that. You got to look at the positive, which is what's happening right now. And I would say the evolution of the hobby is going to be insane. So everything's overpriced right now, but this is going to force people to find ways to cater to the low end, cater to the kids that want to be able to buy a box at Walmart. And so I think we're going to start seeing Walmarts and Targets stocking all kinds of new product that is going to be releasing just for that low end entry point collector, because there's money on the table there where they can create value and themselves make more money by providing value to people that aren't trying to enter at $400 or $500 a box. Now, and so, and those prices can't all shoot up all over the board. There's got to be ones that, you know, won't go up. So I think it's a very exciting time. I really do.
What would, like, let's say you have like a young 8, 9, 10-year-old coming into the hobby. And like we're saying, like, you can't really go out and buy a box. Like, it's going to cost you like $300 or $400. So what would be like kind of the best advice you'd give them if they want to not so much come in as like a flipper, if you will, just somebody who's trying to enjoy it, right? What kind of advice would you give them?
Go ahead, Shai.
Well, regarding boxes, not all boxes are $400. That's mainly basketball at the moment. Basketball is ridiculous because there's Luka, there was Tatum, then there was Luka, then there was Zion.
Well, how much is like a hoops retail box for basketball?
From what year?
2019.
Probably $300, maybe more. I wouldn't be surprised. But I would suggest maybe looking to other sports. I know like Top Series 2 came out recently with Luis Robert. So he's obviously a great player, great prospect. He could boom. And those hobby boxes are like $80. There's like 24 packs in the box or however many. So it's a long grip. It isn't like a one pack like choice or anything. And you just drop $800 and that you got 7 cards. Because I know kids like to rip multiple cards and get a bunch of cards. So I would say maybe look into other sports.
Gotcha.
Because ripping in basketball at the moment is very expensive. Where I see it, you could go and buy like the Contenders blasters and those type of things, but you're not going to be able to really make much money off of that if you're trying to go and like maybe rip, grade it, and then go buy more money, go get more money, and then use that money towards more boxes. So I should just maybe looking outside and then flipping and then being able to buy the box that you originally wanted to get, maybe.
Gotcha. What about you, Michael?
Sorry, what was the question?
Like if you have like if an 8, 9.
Oh, yeah, for a kid. No, so look, I mean, it's just natural economics. Whoever's at the bottom can't afford to make as many mistakes based off of whatever market they're in. So, you know, if you're starting out with $10, you can't take the same risks and sort of get the same sort of returns and stuff like that as somebody who has $100, because that person can spread their money out a little bit better. They can make more bets and everything like that. So, you know, it depends if you're just trying to enjoy the hobby, you know, search around, see what type of like cards are out there for a player that you like, that are at the extremely low end scale, and then make the best buy that you possibly can based off the card that you like. And now if you're interested in it being an investment too, there's plenty of cards that are still out there. I mean, you know, let's say you like Luka. Well, everything Luka is hot right now. Even second year Prism base is like what, a $20 card, $10 card, $15 card?
$1.50 for a PSA 10.
$1.50 for a PSA 10, right? What's a PSA 9? $50, right? Yeah. So if you bought a base at $10 and you graded it for $13 and then sold it and it got a PSA 9, you could still double your money. Or if it hits a 10, then you're technically rich based off of like, you know, that type of return. Yeah. So, I mean, there's still tons of opportunity for anybody at any point. It's just natural economics. The little guy is always going to have less advantage. So it's just why it's important to study and really understand it, and know that, like, you know, you have less cards in your poker hand to play with, essentially, no pun intended. So you really got to be smart and you got to study and everything like that. And that's why the people who usually do the best are the people who are not worried about if they're losing money. They're just doing it for fun, because then it's taking all the pressure off and then you're just having fun with it. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you made a really, really good decision that you didn't even know you made, just because you were coming at it from a collector mindset or someone who's just trying to have fun instead of someone who's trying to squeeze every dollar out of, you know,
no, I feel that those are both really good answers. I think that will help out a lot of people for sure. And you brought up Luka, Michael, and as we know, Luka did hit that 1K mark a couple days ago, and I think they're bidding at like 1,050 right now to like 1,100. I think some Probstein ones last night ended at like 1,100. With it hitting 1K, I don't know, Michael. Do you have any of his Prism 10s right now, or they're probably in grading or something like that?
I actually just bought 4 of his Prism 10s from a buddy. I was able to get a little bit of a deal on them, but I still, I was able to get a little bit of a deal of them, and we made the deal like a few days ago, and they were doing like $960 at the time, so they've even gone up like a couple of days ago. So I mean, the demand for Luka's there, so I'm not really too worried about it. I just take it day by day.
I mean, I know in that one group chat we're in, Shaya, people are like saying, "Oh, Luka's at a K. I'm selling. But like, what are your kind of thoughts of it in general? Just that card hitting a K based off of the market.
I'm not surprised. I think we called it like on episode 2 or something, maybe episode 1. We all predicted that it was going to hit a K. I'm not surprised. It's pretty much the question comes down to, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Personally, what I did is I had 3. I have 2 at grading, and I have a 9.5 off from 10, which is an easy PSA 10 if I decide to cross it.
Yeah.
So I did sell 2 of my PSA 10s. I kept one with the 2 at grading and the 1 that's 0.5 off in case Luka decides to drop 30, 40 points a game or something ridiculous and goes and makes a run and hit 1,500 or whatever it would be, because we have no idea anymore. But I did decide to take profits because I do think there will be a run-up. It'll probably hit 1,200 within the next whatever week or 2 before the playoffs start, or however much, maybe even higher.
Yeah.
I was kind of fearing that possibly there would be a dump-off once they get eliminated, which I think most likely they will. And then at that point, what my plan is, I'm just going to go and rebuy at that point. I'm not getting out of Luka totally. I'm just getting out of Luka for a little bit, and then I'll go buy some more. So that's kind of how I did. I sold some, kept some just in case, and planning to rebuy if he does lose. And if he doesn't, I still have a little bit of a stash to enjoy, I guess.
Remember last time we all tried to sell and then rebuy? Just kidding.
Oh, that's a different case. That was because Big Sosh told everybody people won't be able to pay their mortgages and this and that, and we're gonna go down into the black hole.
I was right.
And I sold a Trey Red PSA 10 and a Luka Silver PSA 10. Yeah, look at those prices now.
I was right there with him. I believe.
Yeah, nobody knew the government was about to give out like $1,000 in unemployment like every like week, but that's actually really funny. But with it hitting 1,000, and I know, Coleman, you're buying it, or you bought a couple the last couple days. Like, in today's market, what do you think happens when like Luka, like they play the Lakers tonight, right, in a scrimmage, right? Like, what do you think happens when he has let's say he has a 30-point triple double? Like, do you think we're going to be seeing, because there's so many more people, in this industry now? I don't even want to call it a hobby almost anymore. I want to call it like an industry. We really haven't seen what happens when like players actually play, like performance, right? What happens to prices? So
well, we did with Bol Bol.
Oh yeah, Bol Bol. Yeah, true.
Bol Bol is so cheap though,
True. Yeah. Which I wanted to bring up Bol Bol too. But like, what do you think happens when like Luka drops, a triple double, 30-point triple double over the Lakers? Or what do you think happens when, he has a horrible game with like 10 points and 3 rebounds, right? Do you think we're going to be seeing like this sort of like real fluctuation just because there's so many people in it now, and there's just more people in it? Prices fluctuate. Like, what are you guys kind of thinking overall?
I think if he does well, it'll go up. I think if he does decent or bad, I think it'll just stay the same. And people are just going to hold because they think, okay, next game he'll bounce back, or in the playoffs he'll do good or whatever. He was just rusty. Like, Kawhi didn't look all that good in his first game. And I don't see anybody dropping prices at Kawhi. He had like 9 points. I think he shot 35%, this and that. Like, he didn't look like all that special at that time. But everybody knows Kawhi is the all-star caliber, top NBA player, could lead the team to a championship. So I do think with Luka, I think there will be a slight fluctuation, but I think it'll be a more of an up. And if he does okay, it's going to be a hold up until what happens in the playoffs.
Gotcha.
I would agree with that. Yeah. So I think scrimmage is going to be a different level than the eight actual games they're going to play, and then different level than the playoffs that they're going to play and everything like that. And I think you're going to have to see more games in a row of someone underperforming or overperforming for some of these prices like Luka, Kawhi, Giannis, stuff like that to actually go up or go down, just because there's just so much investment built into it right now. And the prices are so high that it's going to take a lot for it to go down significantly, and it's going to take a lot, even more, I would say, to go up significantly. So, yeah.
So now we can bring it in terms of when Bol Bol played yesterday and everybody got super excited and his prices shot up ridiculously. I'm thinking that's the new norm for like players like that, where like young players that have really good games, all of a sudden we're going to be going on eBay and their prices are going to, 2x overnight. Like, how do you feel about that? Like in general, not in terms of Bol Bol specifically, but in terms of like young players having really good games and seeing their prices fluctuate like that.
I would say that it's just kind of case by case, but we will see that. So with Bol Bol, there was already a lot of people buying him up because they're believers in Bol Bol. And honestly, like I have heard enough from smart people about Bol Bol to where I was kind of drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. And I bought a couple and then quickly flipped them, but it was before this happened last night. So I think when you see the actual result play out, it's a bunch of people that were already believing it, and then the people that they were talking to probably now all of a sudden believe it because the results there. So it's this perfect storm of the card going up. But we've seen it a lot already with younger players, like having a big game, like that Lonnie Walker game against the Rockets in overtime. His stuff doubled overnight. Probably not like this Bol Bol situation, but, we've seen it a lot, and, we might just see it in bigger circumstances now because of how the market is.
Gotcha.
I think Bol Bol's situation was obviously a little bit more different. It was his NBA debut, so people didn't know really what the hell he was going to come and do, and he came out and balled. Like 2 days before, he was like dishing with Jokic, or this whole thing of the dynamic tandem of the two big men and whatever. They're playing him at like small forward and this and that, and he comes out and balls. I personally sold him as soon as I saw that, and they're doing $30 a piece. Even more, I saw there were some that binned at like 70, 80. I just said, I'm going to put mine up at, I think I put them up at 65 OBO. Somebody offered 50. I said 60. He took it. And then I looked later around like 9, 10 o'clock last night, and they were down to like, they're like $18, $20 just listed on eBay because everybody just went and listed. So I think it is going to be case by case. And I also don't think, like, if, let's say Mo Bamba comes up and he goes and gets like 10 points, goes 3 for 3 or whatever he does, gets 2 blocks. Okay, he's not going to go up that much. But if Lonnie Walker comes in, drops like 15, 16, dunks on a guy, does this and that, crosses, you see his things on House of Highlights and this and that, it's going to be a different situation. So position also plays a big part. We know that obviously in the card market, centers don't get much love. Right now, everything's getting a lot of love for whatever reason. But you look 5 months ago, Mo Bamba PSA 10s were 25. Ayton was maybe 100. Where was he around?
PSA 10 base?
No, silver.
Silver was $100, yeah.
$100. Now they're like 250, 300, I think. So everything's just going crazy. But it's just, I would say, position-wise as well. How explosive, how fun are they to watch? So I would say that plays a big part. I know a lot of people, because of Bol Bol, are now saying, I'm just going to go buy big Prism rookie lots, put them in a box, and see what happens. Yeah. I don't think that's a bad idea, but right now, Prism rookies of pretty much everybody are doing like $5 a piece, which is ridiculous for guys that have never played ever.
Are you guys somewhat like – I know like the gambling aspect, right, betting on a young player, which, I mean, we all, love to do, right, because we believe in our players, right? And you can make a lot of money off of that if you hit, right? Like you can. Yeah. But like, are you also somewhat scared of like when newer people coming in and potentially losing money on that sort of stuff? Like because I think that's the part I am scared about is like, especially with people who maybe don't know too much about sports and they read something where like, you know, I don't know, they read something about one certain player's going to have a huge season and they go buy him up a ton and it doesn't work out and then they kind of get a bad taste of the industry. Are you somewhat scared about that?
So I personally have learned my lesson. It's very difficult because what I did, I bought the Mo Bamba Gold for it was like $650 at the time. And this was a while ago. This was like a year.
Okay.
And this and that. And I believed in him. Me and my friend Roy were talking about him all the time. And it's very hard to see and watch, okay, the Mo Bamba and check every time the damn Magic play. And you don't see he does anything. And he keeps fouling out or he gets 4 minutes and this and that, gets a block here and there. It's very hard to keep holding and keep holding and keep holding, and you don't see anything at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Roy, on the other hand, was able to do that because he really believes in him. News comes out, dropped 28 pounds of muscle. He has 28 pounds of muscle. But then you see yesterday he played like 3 minutes, got a block shot and 2 points. Like from now on, what I'm doing is I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to buy. I would suggest if you want to buy young players, buy them raw, send them to grading so you have that entire time that it's just getting graded. And if he pans out, okay, you could hit the jackpot if it does well. And if it doesn't, you're still going to make money if it PSA 9, PSA 10s, because it's still going to go up from what it was unless some ridiculous news comes out and he's a total bust or whatever it may be.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say, I'm always fearful of people who only prospect and they don't, especially if they don't know how to prospect properly and they're not understanding the type of risks that they're taking. And Gary Vee just said this on the Lefko show. 80%, blue chip guys like LeBron, Giannis, you could even say Kawhi, Luka. I guess Luka's blue chip now. But 80% those type of guys. I'd say 80% LeBron, 20% else, whatever you want to do. So if you got $100, buy an $80 LeBron card and then take $20 and prospect with it. That way, the LeBron's probably going to go up, and if you lose that $20, you still started with $100. You still have $100 like you started with. Last year at National, one of my buddies who knows nothing about cards, he just does real estate. He wanted to invest some money in cards, and I was like, well, how much money you want to invest? He wanted to invest $2,000. So I went to National. I bought a LeBron James Topps Chrome Refractor BGS 9 for $2,600. And then a Ayton National Treasures horizontal RPA for like $500. And I basically said, okay, $1,500, you can take half of the LeBron, $500 for the Ayton. And this way you're putting about 75% of your stock in a LeBron card and 25% of your stock in a prospect that I kind of like because I thought Ayton was going to have a great second year. Right now, if he had done that, that $1,500 would be about $7,500.
Oh, yeah.
And the Ayton for $500 would still be about $500. So he wouldn't be mad about it. He would have taken $2,000 and made $8,000.
Yeah.
He got to prospect, even though he was completely wrong. And he put his money in a blue chip product first, and then he put his money in prospecting. So, as far as being afraid of these people taking risks, I'd say just buy smart stuff. Is it fun? No, it's boring. It's boring to buy a LeBron card that might only, this was the old thought, right? Is that it's boring. It's boring to buy. I told this to people last year all the time, and only a couple people listened to me. They were like, what card should I buy? I was like, LeBron James Topps Chrome PSA 10. You can buy it for about $1,000. It'll go up to like $1,100 it'll go up like $100 every year, right? And I didn't do it because it's boring. It's too safe, right? But that's what I would tell people is just buy something like a LeBron that's safe. But right now, if you buy the LeBron, it might go up 20% in a week. So,
When it gets shipped to you, it might have gone up
100% by the time you get it in the mail. So, I would just say don't just prospect, especially if you don't know how to do it. Buy something that's boring and safe, and then prospect with some money to have fun with.
Now it's different, though, a little different, because as we're seeing, price points are getting a little bit crazier. So, what would you say to people who are like, oh, like I want to buy LeBron, but I can't afford, a LeBron Chrome 10? What are some like other options for them that you think are reasonable? Let's say they have, I don't know, like they're like, I want to spend $1,000 on LeBron, right?
I would say buy 2018 LeBron Optics Raw. Buy as many of them as you can find that look nicely centered, and then send them all to PSA.
I would suggest buying 2019 Prism LeBron, the uni, and just buy like maybe if you don't want to grade it, you can go buy the damn PSA 10 that's doing like 900 now. By the time it gets shipped to you or whatever, I think it's going to hit a K, maybe over. If he wins it, it's going to go 1,500, I think.
Is that the silver?
Yeah, the silver.
Gotcha.
And if you don't want to do that, you can go buy the Prism base. The Prism base, the raws do like 20. As a PSA 10, they do 200, 225 now.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, that's interesting.
Just that type of stuff, I would say, if you're not trying to go and spend whatever it is. Because now the cheapest Chrome you can get is like 2,500, 3K. I think like a PSA 8 is around 3K right now. PSA 9 is like 5. And I think and BGS 9 is like 45.5, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, this is actually, I wanted to ask this question before, but if you had to choose, all right, so we know that LeBron cones are 15K. If you could buy one LeBron cone for 15K, right? Or you could put 15K into Kawhi's 2012 Prism PSA 10, or you could put 15K into Giannis's Prism Rookie PSA 10. What would you do? Now, like right now, Kawhi is going at like 3.5, and Giannis is going at 4.2. So it wouldn't like exactly match up. You essentially be able to get 4 Giannis's at 16K, and like what 5 or 4 to 5 Kawhis. But like let's say you had 15K and you could either put it into Kawhi, Giannis, or LeBron. Right now, who are you putting it into?
Mike, you want to go?
Sure. For me, it's probably just going to be the LeBron. And the reason why is because it's LeBron, and I don't see it going down from 15K. I just don't. If anything, I see it going up. It's an iconic card. But I could easily take that 15K and buy Kawhis with it and get at least 4 Kawhis with it?
Yeah, like
4.5?
4.5
Kawhis. So I'd take those Kawhis too, because the pop's lower than both of them. LeBron and Giannis are at 2,000 pop. Kawhi's at like 800 or 1,000. So
800.
I like that population, and I like the fact that Kawhi has 2 rings, possibly a third, and 3 Finals MVPs if he was to do it on the Clippers. So, but I'd probably just play it safe and just buy the LeBron, because at the end of the day, nobody cares about Kawhi. Sorry.
I love that ending right there.
Personally, I actually think I would also go LeBron, because I'm selling some stuff. I'm selling some football cards that I'm going to get graded. And once that all comes back, my plan is to go and buy that PSA 10 LeBron, because as I said before, I think it's going to become out of reach pretty soon, especially with chances are he's going to win the chip. That's probably going to go up to 20, 25K. And as Sasha said, he thinks it could go up to 40K. So I'm willing to risk the 15. And let's say he doesn't win the chip. What would it go down to? Maybe 12, 13, maybe a little lower. But I don't think it could go that low, because people will say, shoot, I'll buy it for 13 because I think he'll win it next year. And then whatever it'll go up to then. So I would go LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, and I don't even think you could go wrong with Kawhi either. He's at 35. I think he'll go up to 4 or 5 maybe before the playoffs even start. If he wins it, I think it's up to 8, maybe 10K. It's such a low pop. It's 800. I own 2 of them, and I'm not as big a scale as some of these Gary V guys that are spending so much more money on them. So I would personally go LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis.
I like it. I would go LeBron just because he's the safest too. Like, even though, like, yeah, dude, if fucking Kawhi wins a chip or Giannis, like, it can get nutty too. But like, I feel like me putting 15K into something, I would just put it into LeBron, because I know
it's just basic investment principles, like Warren Buffett's rules about money, right? Number 1, don't lose money. Number 2, C rule number 1, right? Like, it's just playing it safe and just buying what you know you're not going to lose money on and play the long run, you know? That being said, like, I don't think the Giannis is a bad move, even at 4K. I mean, like, he's got international appeal. He could be the best player in the league, like, really, really, really soon, if not right now. 2 back-to-back MVPs if he gets it. Could get a ring. And then if he goes to Golden State or something, you know, or Dallas or, you know, something like that, like,
Yeah.
it could be huge.
Well, to throw this into discussion, because I was just thinking, what if we were to throw Luka in that little chart of ours?
That's what
On
I'm
like Luka base and Luka silvers. Like 15 Luka base PSA 10s or maybe 3 Luka silvers because those are 5K. I'm still going with the LeBron personally, but I think the Luka PSA 10s, you throw them in for a K, you put them in a box, those could go up pretty nicely over time.
Well, to add to that too, like, do you guys feel like Giannis is more LeBron Kawhi, or is he more in the like Luka young star conversation?
Luka Young star conversation.
That's
Yeah.
what I still think too. But like, I feel like some people don't think that, or I think a good majority of people think they're already thinking Giannis is LeBron, Kawhi, KD. When I don't have him there at all.
Right. He's been kind of like knighted as the next guy, right? Giannis has already, just because.
If I'm putting money into young guy, I'm putting into Luka, not Gian. Like in my head,
On the same boat, but yeah.
That's exactly why I say Kawhi over Giannis, because Kawhi and Giannis, they're being put in that same bracket with LeBron at the top and Kawhi and Giannis down here. And Kawhi's cheaper than Giannis, even though they're on a different tier, in my eyes.
2 chips, right?
Luka and Giannis should be compared. And I think Luka's the better buy than Giannis.
But check this out, too, though. What's a Kawhi RPA worth BGS 9?
NTRPA?
NTRPA, yeah.
I have no idea. Those are out of my price range. I don't look at those.
Okay, but let's just say like 12,000 or 13,000, 14,000, maybe 15,000 on the high end for a BGS 9, a nice one. What's a Kawhi BGS 9 at a 99?
I have no idea.
Josh, do you know?
I have no idea.
Personally, I don't think anybody actually knows, but like I would guess like 75K, I think is a conservative guess. So you're talking about 6x, yet the Prism rookies are like almost the same right now. So
and lower pop makes sense.
But I mean, like the pop doesn't matter that much because demand.
2012, like it's an iconic set for like.
True, but think about it. Who do people like more, Giannis or Kawhi?
Giannis.
Why?
No, people don't like Kawhi more.
People like
Giannis more.
The thing with like those gnarly cards, right? The ones that you're going to be paying 75, 100, 150. The more popular a guy is, right? People are willing to pay for that. But if you're telling like you're probably going to have a shorter list of people going and wanting to buy a 75K Kawhi card over a 75K Giannis card, right?
That's one reason like Steph is so damn expensive.
Yeah.
Like he's amazing on the floor, but he's also very likable off. If you go look at his cards, I was looking to buy them. They're off the charts. And he's still considered cheap to some people. People say he's a buy right now, and I think he is a buy because people think he's going to come back next year, be a contender, this and that. Him, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and whoever they play at center. But he's still really expensive as is.
I just think that Giannis at 4.2 is a lot of money.
Yep.
But like he can win a chip and it can be 10. Like that's very, very possible. But just for me, if I'm putting I would rather spend money on KD than Giannis.
Like you could probably go buy like a LeBron BGS 9 for 4.2, right? Because I know PSA 9s are 5 and BGS 9, not like 0.5 off or anything, but like just like a hard BGS 9. Which I think you could go and get the same. I know PSA 8s are like 3.
I know PSA 9s are like 5, 6 now.
Yeah. So I think BGS 9s are probably 4.5 to 5.
I think 4.2 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm buying 4 Lukas over that.
I'd agree with that.
Like it just, I don't know, man. It's a crazy market. That's all I got to say. But anyways, I guess we all went for LeBron for the 15K.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Are you guys following football at all? Because,
Yeah.
well, did you guys see that? So Mahomes is at 6K for his Prism Silver 10, even though
Yeah.
it's just like a base because
Yeah.
the only thing in there was silver. But I looked up Lamar.
I know what you're going to say already.
Lamar's Prism PSA 10 3 weeks ago was $700, right? They're now 2.5K
Yeah.
in 3 weeks.
Okay. I got to explain this to you. Okay. So the thing with the Lamar, are you talking about the base or the silver?
Base.
Base.
Talking about the base. Okay. So first of all, people always want the damn shiny card. So even though Mahomes is a base, if you look on eBay, everyone says silver.
I'm not comparing them.
Yeah, but another thing with the Mahomes is the Mahomes is so hard to 10. The Lamar isn't that hard because it's 2018 Prism. Think about it just like Luka. He's just like Luka. Whatever the centering is and that back corner, everything's the same.
No, it's not. That's a hard card to grade too, though.
Lamar's hard.
Those are extremely hard to grade. That for some reason, football Prism that year is horrible.
Really? I didn't know that.
Lamar has so many surface issues on his cards. Don't worry, I bought a bunch.
Surface.
Really? I've never owned a Lamar. I just assumed that. But
Yeah.
I know with Mahomes, he has that little factory bubble on like 90% of his cards, and that's an automatic no-no for a PSA 10.
I just know Lamar's gem rate is like 30%.
Really? Yeah, I've never bought a Lamar card ever.
Which I'm just saying, like, I'm more like interested to see, like, in 3 weeks a card went from 700 to 2.5K. Like, that's insane to me. And it's like
People thought Lamar was undervalued. He was the reigning MVP, and people were rating him like double Kyler Murray.
And so, like, what are you expecting for the football season then? Like, Lamar has an MVP season again, right? And his card's at 2.5K. Like, what is that?
I don't think he will have another MVP season. I think Lamar is going to regress. Mahomes is cream of the crop. Mahomes has turned into like the LeBron Topps Chrome of football.
So Mahomes is essentially a lock.
Mahomes is a lock. He has a 10-year contract. He won a Super Bowl in his first 2 years of starting, and he's the best quarterback in the league, no doubt. But what people are trying to do now is they're trying to find the next guy. That's the whole thing. I personally think Watson is a beast. Watson has the it factor. He's at 600 for a PSA 10, same year as Mahomes. But his problem is his coach. That team is just horrible. But he's about to be a free agent. So there's so many options with football. Then there's like Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray. All have big opportunity. Which one's going to show out? Then there's like Baker, who disappointed hard last season. And then there's like Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, Dak. Like there's a lot of guys that could come out, do that MVP year. There's just a lot of options. And then there's even people that go for the other guys. I saw a guy posted it today saying that he's buying those fantasy sleepers. So in fantasy football, those wide receivers or those running backs, because they think that all these fantasy football analysts are going to come into the card market, say, oh, I think this second string, this DJ Moore guy on the Panthers is going to have a huge season. And they go buy DJ Moore Prism rookies. So there's a lot of new plays with football, but personally, I think QBs is the way to go. That's the way that you're going to make your money, personally.
What about
This
you?
is Shaya's arena for sure, so I kind of agree with everything he's saying. But I'm really not super big on football. I just do a little bit of Mahomes, and I'm a big Brady guy. I like the Brady stuff because it's so safe.
I'm not big in football either, but I did dabble in it, the last month or so. But I'm hearing like that because there's so many more people, buying football cards and stuff, we will see like wide receivers gain some traction in prices and like I know the notion is QBs is like the only place that there is money, but do you think that like we will see like some other positions get love?
It'll go QB, running back, receiver. Receiver always gets the least because receiver, you got to think there's 3 on each lining up at pretty much all times, sometimes 4 if they go 4 wide. So receivers is also going to be a lot harder to choose because receivers, there's 4 or 5 on each team. Running backs, there's 2, 3, mainly 1. So you could go and bet on, let's say, Alvin Kamara, who's been a top 10 running back for the past 3 years or whatever, but has yet to have that breakout season, or Dalvin Cook, or even Saquon. There's a lot of more, and running backs are a lot more fun to see because they're a lot more explosive, truck a guy, juke a guy, run for a 90-yard touchdown. So I would definitely say it goes QB, running back, receiver, but I would caution going with running back, receiver.
But like, do you think in general this season we're going to be seeing more money getting put into running backs and receivers?
I think they will because there'll be a point where QBs are going to be too expensive. They're going to have to choose between Saquon or who's Josh Rosen, or somebody that's just horrendous at QB.
Yeah.
So I do think that will, but I think it's ultimately going to be kind of similar to what happens with basketball. Once basketball ends, Gary's not going to keep posting about basketball, I don't think, unless offseason happens, trades start happening, okay. But then he's going to move into baseball, and then baseball is going to turn into football. And football is just going to go – I think it's going to go crazy just like basketball is, but on a smaller scale because basketball is the highest by far.
Are you guys somewhat – because I think Adam Silver's done a fantastic job with, like, coordinating this bubble. I think he's probably the best commissioner in sports. Are you guys, like, somewhat scared about baseball and football because they're going to be, like, traveling a lot? And we already saw Juan Soto got the coronavirus. I'm for basketball. I feel like once they're in the bubble, and they are, like, they're safer than anywhere else. But like for the other sports, them traveling a lot, and in terms of you putting money into those sports and the players in those sports, are you a little frightened or cautioned a bit?
I am personally, especially because I have a couple big cards, especially of Drew Lock. And I am cautioned. I have talked with some people. Some people do think it's going to get canceled. Some people don't.
For football?
They do. And also, if you notice with the Players Association, which I noticed, is they have been they've been talking about a lot of precautions lately. NFL first canceled the Super Bowl game. Is it called Super Bowl? What is it called? The throwback game. It's the first game of the season. I forgot what it's called. Then they canceled the first 2 weeks of preseason. Then they canceled all of preseason because the Players Association wanted it. So it seems like the Players Association is kind of timid and scared about what's happening. So I definitely wouldn't put NFL season on a lock for sure happening. I think it most likely will happen, but I would proceed with caution, especially when putting thousands of dollars into whoever your QB sleeper would be, hoping that he's going to have that MVP season.
I've heard a lot too about the football season ending or getting canceled and then not getting canceled. From the people that I talk to that know the most about football and are deepest in football, it seems like they're pretty confident it will happen. And then people that I know that I don't know why I'm laughing about that. And then from people that don't really know too much about football or the football cards and everything, it seems like they're a little bit more cautious and think that it will get canceled. Here's my take on it. There's so much riding on these seasons happening, money-wise, whether they have fans in the stands or not, through TV contracts and through the demand for them to happen, which will generate so much money because of people watching them and ad revenue and everything like that. I think they will absolutely look at the basketball format and figure it out. That's just me looking at it from a human being point of view of we are all adapting to this. And if our livelihoods are at stake, we will figure out whatever we have to do to make this work.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think that the seasons will happen one way or another. I just don't know enough about them sports-wise and the cards-wise for each of those categories to start making a lot of plays. I'm very, very cautious about it.
I wanted to add one thing when investing with football. Never forget, I think it was about maybe a year and a half ago, when I had my Deshaun Watson Prism Gold. I remember Mike Hatton remembers that, and a lot of people do remember that as well. I'll never forget what Will said at the time. He was like, Shai, you have $20 in this card. You could sell it for $3,500. One bad hit to Watson, and he's over with. Football is not like basketball. It is a lot more dangerous, especially for the QB, because you have 4+ people constantly wanting to hit you as hard as possible. So it's not safe at all, especially when like one season-ending injury for Kyler Murray or Drew Lock, you're screwed. Like that card will tank.
Facts.
Mahomes is a little different. Mahomes will tank, but people know Mahomes will come back and whatever. But there has also been career-ending injuries in football. The guy could never come and play again. So there's a lot of risk involved with football, but there's also a lot of reward. People were buying Lamar Prism rookies last year for $5 or less because people kept saying he was a running back. Now look at where those are at. Or NTRPAs for whatever, $600 or whatever they were at. For dirt cheap. So the upside is also ridiculous. So
yeah,
I would say caution.
No, you're right on the money. The injuries are scary, and that's why I've stayed away from it for so long. But then I was like, basically, I'll literally give you the blueprint of what I did. Literally like a month and a half ago, I just bought up a ton of raw cards of young QBs. Murray.
Drew Lock.
I bought a ton of Murray, a ton of Jones, a good amount of Lamar, and then I bought like a couple Drew Lock cards. And I just sent them to PSA, right? And they should be coming back soon. But I'm not planning on keeping any of them, like in season, because at the end of the day, it's just there's so much risk to it, and I don't know football like well at all. So I'd rather just kind of get my money out from there.
Well, that kind of reminds me of what we said earlier with prospecting with basketball. Kind of that same approach. Go buy the Prism, grade it, wait, and you're going to make money either way. If the guy comes and balls, you're going to make bank. If not, whatever it was raw, most likely it is. But one thing with football, you'll see it. No matter if somebody comes and hypes it up or not, off-season buying is always going to go up onto season.
Yeah.
The only thing that'll stop it is people saying that season won't happen. But if everything goes as planned, Kyler Murray PSA 10s that are now 3 will go up to 450. Deshaun's that are at 550 will go up to 650. Everything will go up just because of hype, but they could also come down. So I would also caution with that. But I know, for instance, for 2019, I know Sosh is buying Kyler and Jones heavy, but not going Lock. And I want to give my take on that because all three, I think, are going to be all have a great shot. And I know everybody's looking for 2019 QBs for the next big thing. And those are the main 3 guys. Personally, I like Lock the best because of his situation. Kyler obviously has Hopkins, explosive team, could be very fun to watch. I think that division is just very hard to win. With Seattle there and the Niners and the Rams. That's a very hard division to even get the wild card in. With the Broncos, he's going to have to go against Mahomes. And if Lock takes down Mahomes in one of those games, that could be very good. And also, there's not a third. Chargers are going to be very low scoring, and the Raiders are the Raiders. So I think Broncos have a high shot there. And I think the Giants are just horrible. They don't have a defense, really. It's Daniel Jones and Saquon. That's it. You can't really – I don't think you guys could name a receiver. I can't. But, that team is just – Saquon is that team. Saquon will be the star of that team. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to come out and people are going to say, oh, Daniel Jones is the top option on that team, and then Saquon's number 2. No, that's Saquon's team in my eyes.
No, I mean, I literally just bought the guys where I was like, all right, who are the young QBs? They're like this. And I was like, all right, who is going to have a lot of hype going into season? They're like this person. And I was like, okay, I'll buy wrong grade and then sell it when the hype builds up. But again, I don't know football too much. And I would, if you need football advice and you're coming to me, that's probably a not good option whatsoever. But I want to shift gears to soccer because Mbappe cards have been like the last 2 weeks or so have been slowly creeping up. And then this morning, his World Cup Prism PSA 10 binned at 925, which a year ago, if you said that to somebody, you probably would have somebody would have thought you were fucking nuts. But what are your guys' current plans with soccer? Are you guys? I know you guys have been dabbling in it, but are you kind of looking at it more? And just to give you some background, Chronicle Soccer came out a couple of weeks ago, and everybody, the people that were getting Mason Greenwood and Ansu Fati in it were selling like essentially base cards for like $200, which is insane. And that comes with prospecting, right? But it came to a point where, Greenwood and Fati cards were actually selling more than Mbappe cards, which was insane. So I think that's why we're seeing this rise in Mbappe. And also he's got on the cover of FIFA like yesterday or days ago. But yeah, like what are you guys kind of feeling on soccer? Are you starting to dabble in it more? What are your current thoughts?
Mike, you go.
I haven't really. I've just gotten my Mbappe Chromes, and then I have an Mbappe Prism Silver rookie that is still on its way from China, and so I had to open up a dispute to try and see if I can get anything going with that. I think it's just because of COVID and stuff like that. But honestly, that's all I've gotten, and I got that like a month or two ago. I'm really not doing anything with the soccer. I only dabble with it because of USASH, and I'll probably continue to. Probably when the market gets way too hot to where I probably shouldn't be buying, but I'll end up buying anyway. So I clearly haven't learned my lesson yet with the soccer.
Gotcha.
Personally, I am. I did buy some Mbappe's a couple of months ago. I did hop off the train because I had lost faith, and that was a mistake. I am not prospecting though. I'm not gonna spend $200-$300 on Ansu Fati, who's he's on Barca. He could become the next Messi or whatever. Mega cracks is the same rookie or whatever, this and that. But I'm not spending $300 on it. I am, on the other hand, trying to get some Messi and some Mbappe because basketball season's over. Soccer is very popular worldwide. Next thing you know, Gary Vee is gonna start posting this, and that. A lot of soccer fans. Mbappe is also liked. He's not one of those people that isn't liked, like James Harden or whatever. That's just very skilled, but isn't liked by the public.
He's literally like, you could say he's like the Mahomes of
soccer. You could make that argument. And his stuff isn't that expensive at the moment. So I am slowly buying him as well as Messi. But as I said, I'm not buying those 17-year-olds that are selling for hundreds of dollars at the moment. I don't see it.
It's interesting too, because if you look at honestly, my thing is Ronaldo, Messi, and Mbappe, I think those are kind of the guys that work out long term. But if you look at Messi and Ronaldo's rookie cards, which they're essentially from, I think it's 03, 04 around there, they're mega cracks cards. The pop report on them is nothing. Literally nothing for PSA 10s. It's probably 20, I want to say, somewhere around there. And you can get them for 20, 25K. I'm not too sure. It's somewhere around there. But that's something that I'm looking at too, where I put it in the conversation of really safe buys,
iconic card.
Yeah, because if the pop report's that little and we're seeing kind of the soccer market slowly build up, that card can also get very nutty, just like I talked about, LeBron.
Well, one thing I would say about that card is you can't really compare it with LeBron because I'm pretty sure that there was a lot less of those than there is LeBron.
So there's a lot less. There's a ton.
The supply isn't there on that one.
But I'm saying in terms of iconic.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be the soccer card to have. If Mbappe doesn't or whatever, Mbappe, I think his cards will be up there, but Messi and Ronaldo's, those rookies are going to be in every sport they have that iconic card. That is going to be, or that is the soccer card.
Yeah, I agree. Do you guys think I know you guys haven't aren't fully into soccer in terms of the market, but there's a lot of people getting into it. Do you could you see the soccer market kind of being it would be football in terms of the card market, and then soccer being number 2. Could you see that? Or I know baseball's technically considered one, but
I think basketball is considered one.
But I think in terms of the collector, baseball's. When somebody thinks about cards, what do you think about?
Oh, you think baseball cards? Yeah. But I think of when you think of market, basketball.
Yeah, basketball for sure. Yeah, no.
I don't think soccer will outpace basketball.
Oh no, but do you think it could
I
be?
think it could ride. I think it'll be below basketball, but I think it could ride with like football, maybe higher than football.
Gotcha.
And I think it could ride with baseball as well. I don't think this will be a slow. I don't think it'll go really fast or really slow, but I think it could happen.
Definitely.
Same thing. You think it can be right under?
Yeah.
Mike is not comfortable with these questions.
No.
Let's go back to basketball.
I thought it was funny. Sasha literally asked you, "Do you think soccer could be like football?" And you were like, "Oh, I think basketball is the hottest for sure." No, I think it could definitely come up to football. Absolutely. I mean, because football is like the most popular sport in the country, but it's not the most popular hobby sports club, right? And then so soccer is so international, and there's so many people that collect soccer, and the football card hobby like isn't as big. So I definitely think soccer could gain ground on that, especially because of people like Gary Vee and because of people like you, Sash, who are spreading awareness of soccer and bringing so much attention on it.
Stop doing that.
What's funny is I remember when I was talking about Prism World Cup Mbappe cards when they're like $4 or something like that, and people were like, "Oh, it went up to like I think it went up to like $10 like a month later." He's like, "Oh, he's just moving the Mbappe market so he can make $5 on his cards or whatever." And I was like, and I remember I was like, little do they know I haven't sold one Mbappe card at all. Like that's how much I fucking believe in them. Honestly, that's how much I believe in the market more so than the player even of it growing.
Well, Mbappe is already turning into the face of the future of soccer.
Exactly.
On the face of FIFA 21 already.
And like I think Mbappe as a player is almost as a lock as Mahomes. So it's just a matter of me seeing like me looking at the market. I'm just like, damn, like soccer in the next 1, 2, 3 years can get very nutty. But to bring it back to basketball, because I know that's obviously where we're probably most comfortable with. In terms in general of the bubble and playoffs coming up and happening, are you like in general? What are you expecting to see with players cards in general? Just with them going into the bubble, playoffs starting, right? Season starting, like, are you just, and in terms of your own collection, are you just, I know Michael, it's a little bit different for you because you're always at the buy and sell, but in general, how are you feeling about the bubble? And then also in terms of cards, are you going to be looking to be buying heavy or just selling based off of players having good performances?
I kind of, it's all a specific case to everybody.
Yeah.
But right now, like if I didn't have my circumstances right now, honestly, I'd be trying to cash out a little bit more so than usual and get like a nice cash reserve up just so you can, buy some of these dips that are going to happen and continue to reinvest and make some good plays, just because I'm a big believer in taking profits off the table and then reinvesting those profits, especially if you have a good idea that there might be a dip coming. And look, I mean, it's a risk because there might not be a dip coming. We're all assuming that. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just historically something that does happen, but nothing that's happened in the last 6 months is played out with the rhythm of history. So, I would probably lean towards selling some things just to give myself a nice cash reserve and holding the things that I desperately want to hold.
So you're holding like your LeBrons, like your big guys, and then kind of selling the rest to get cash going to make plays.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. What about
I'm kind of doing the same thing. I haven't been really buying anything basketball-wise. I did buy a lot earlier just for like grading purposes. But even at that point, I wouldn't really do that anymore at this point because I feel like everything is so high. Like thinking about like guys like Zion and Ja, chances of them winning the chip, they could perform well a couple times. But how high could they go? Yeah, there could be a run-up, but I think there'll be a dip.
How do you guys feel about Zion prices? They're like $800 right now for a PSA 10.
Honestly, I think if he comes back, drops 20, and dunks on a guy, it's going to be higher.
I mean,
But if he doesn't, it's gonna tank like no other. It's gonna tank. And all those Zion fans are gonna go buy tons. They're just gonna load up on him, hoping for next year, because he's been on a minute restriction. So he's definitely I think he's a very risky play at the moment, because he could come out and ball, but he could also come out and do nothing.
How do you feel about Zion prices right now, Mike?
I think I think we're going to see them go up a little bit. I think we're going to see, like Shai is saying, some dunks and some big point games and stuff like that. And then, I think we're just seeing like that small run up of people that are trying to buy, assuming something could happen. And I think we will. That being said, like I wouldn't put all my money on Zion Prism PSA 10s or something, but right. But I mean, like I would buy a couple if I had the resources and stuff. I would buy or hold a couple of them just because they could get run up to $2,000 if Zion goes for like 50 points against LeBron in a playoff game.
But the thing is, like, the only thing I would say is, like, it's not a lock that Pelicans are going to make the playoffs. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, Pelicans are going to make the playoffs.
Right.
They have to win, like, I'm pretty sure, like, at least 60% of their games.
They have like a 20% chance to make it or something.
Yeah, so, like, that's my only, like, issue. And I know Zion also left the bubble, like, 2 days ago to, like, deal with it.
Yeah, I don't like that for sure. I don't like that he left the bubble right before an injury or something. Like, he got injured in practice, and then he left the bubble for no reasons. That's
kind of small, weird. I think it was like ankle maybe, injury, and then he left. But then now they're saying he's getting tested every day, and he's supposed to come back 100% or whatever.
Yeah, seems kind of weird, but also, too, like, I mean, there's so much upside there. And I don't think the Pelicans as a lock is that crazy, just because even if they got to win 60% of their games, they have, like, the easiest schedule coming back, I believe. And then they
played well yesterday.
What's up?
They played well yesterday. They played the Nets. Nets aren't good, but they didn't play bad.
I mean, they have a good team. Like, Ingram is an all-star. Lonzo Ball is playing pretty well, like, as a point guard. They have Drew Holiday, which is a great wing player that can also run the point in some instances and plays fantastic defense. They have
Alexander Walker balled out yesterday. He had a nice game. He was their leading point scorer yesterday. I mean, they got some guys. They got a squad.
It'll be interesting to see his price point, to say the least. One thing we actually should move to, which we haven't talked about today, was PSA in general. Great, grading your cards, raw to grading. How has your returns been recently, and also how have the turnaround times been recently?
I've been pretty fortunate with a couple of my recent subs that came back. But then, I get slaughtered on other ones. So it's kind of just the nature of the beast. I'd say you get slaughtered 3 or 4 times, and then you get 1 or 2 blessings as far as the subs go. As far as turnaround times, like, I just don't even pay attention anymore, because I send in like 4 or 5 different service levels every 2 weeks. So I'm sending out so many that I just don't even pay attention to what the turnaround times are anymore. But I could say that it feels like they're better in some instances, and some of them slip through the cracks and take forever.
My turnaround times have been pretty good. Results have been horrible. I got my cards. I submitted with Mark's cards. Highly recommend. I went 1 for 4 on my 10-day. I was able to cross my Zion 950 PSA 10, which was nice. My Luka Silver as PSA 9 for the 4th time.
Dang.
Tatum
Silver PSA 9, and then AD Prism Rookie PSA 9.
What's that Luka Silver 9 worth now, though?
22.
So, like, as you've been constantly failing, it just...
I have $300 into that card, including all the grading costs.
Sorry to interrupt. At what point do you sell that Luka Silver 9, or do you keep trying now?
I'm going to keep trying.
Even though you're at 7X. I love it.
I'm going to keep trying.
So it's going to be your 5th time then?
Yes, 5th time.
Dude, I honestly love it.
I know. If it wasn't I'm not going off of possibility, this could double. I look at the card. I'm like, this is a PSA 10. They're just controlling the pop, and they're being super, super hard on Lucas. I saw Nate. He subbed like 4 or 5. He went 0 for 5. I submitted 2 base. That I went 0 for 2. They're being very, very strict on Lucas across the board. I've noticed.
Would you ever send that card to Beckett?
I'm honestly getting to the point where I'm considering it, but the Beckett is like what, $3K for a min gem? Like it's not bad, so I'll consider it. But after a couple more tries, and then I submitted a 20-day, 38 cards, my biggest card submission yet actually, and I went a full 31%, which is just horrendous.
But just to add some context, what were your gem rates before COVID?
So last year when I was submitting with Will, I was going 70, 80 to 90%. Because I look over all my cards, I microfiber, do this and that, and it's not like I just go, oh, if this is a PSA 10, it's 150, okay, I'm going to grade it. No, I don't do that. I look over each card. If I think it could, I'll send it. And I went 31%. Some cards did come in the clutch, but some didn't. Some I wanted a PSA 9. Like I submitted a 2012 Braun, this one, and I wanted a PSA 9 because there's a huge scratch on it. So I wasn't hoping for a PSA 10. So it's definitely been pretty rough in that sense, but some cards did save me. But turnaround time was amazing. I got my 20-day in 10 days.
Well, I mean, just to the game, I think we're all under the agreement that it's been getting way harder to go 70, 80, 90% in general.
I feel like it's getting more. I don't know. I remember if I told you this or I told someone about this. I'm like, I don't see at least people are going like 50, 60. People are either getting murdered or they're hitting the jackpot.
My last big one, it was like a fifth, like it was almost 60%. That was like a month ago, I'd say. Yeah. But like, I don't know. What about in your bulk stuff? Like, are you still, or I don't know if you've gotten big cards back recently, or like big, like, 50, 60, 70, 200 cards back. But if you have the last couple of weeks, like, are you seeing like a little bit of a downturn from your gem reads prior to before?
Yeah, so I mean, I did have a recent bulk that popped from, I want to say April. And, it was just interesting because I had probably about, like what you guys are saying, a 30 or 40% gem rate on it, which is low. But then I had 17 DeAndre Ayton prisms, and they went 14 for 17 gems. So that was really good, right?
Yeah.
But
those are like what, $150 a pop?
Right, and I was in them for $2 a piece. So, I mean, that's really great. But outside of that, I'd say it was lower than 30%. Actually, it was probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was probably like 20% gem rate outside of those. So, I'm getting a mixed bag over here. So, which isn't really surprising. Is it harder than it was? Yeah, but I think personally we're seeing it get a little bit better. I think PSA during this last 3 or 4 months has been, dare I say, purposely being harder, just to try and maybe encourage people to stop submitting so much.
Or submit multiple times.
Which
I have done.
With the silver over here. So I think based off this new format for pricing and based off the grades that are coming back, to me they're just indicators that PSA is overloaded with cards, and they are trying to combat their backlog a little bit, which still seems to not be working.
No.
So
did you see they expanded, or they are expanding, which is cool to see. In general.
One thing I was just thinking about is a lot of people are saying PSA 9s are going to go up in value and PSA 10s are going up. I think more so PSA 10s are going to go have a bigger increase than 9s, because I don't see PSA as the normal grade handing out 8s. If there are a bunch of 8s, like I see people that get in like a 6 on some cards, like out of the blue. But like with the normal cards like bulk, you usually get like mostly 9s and a couple 10s, maybe an 8 or 2. I don't see a bunch of 8s, some 9s, and if you're really lucky, a 10. So a lot of people are saying these days that PSA 9s are going to see a huge bump. I do see that they're going to be more than raw, but I don't think they're going to go crazy because I feel like that's the norm grade at PSA. They're just dishing out 9s. They're not trying to control the 9 pop for a Luka 2019 Prism. No one cares about that. They're trying to control the pop on a LeBron Topps Chrome from getting a 10 to a 9. Yes, that's a different scenario. But I think 10s, especially on guys like, let's say, Shea. For Shea, for instance, I think the 9s will go up because I think his is more of an 8 average grade. But for like Trey and like Luka, which mainly a 9, that I think that you're going to see a big increase on the 10s because they're so much harder to come by.
I could see that, but I would also say that all the people that are entering the market right now, most of them don't want a raw card. They want a slabbed card, and they want PSA as the label. So even though the 9 is the standard grade, I think I think people just don't really care. I think they just want a slabbed card with at least a 9 on it, which would then make those 9s go up a little bit. But, I mean, I would never argue that a 9 is going to have a better ROI than a 10. The 10s will just go crazier than the 9s, no pun intended, 9 times out of 10. But the LeBron, Topps Chrome PSA 9, we saw that go from 3,300 to 6,000, right? So that just doubled out of nowhere. So, but it's all just a response to what the 10 was doing. So I don't think we're ever going to see so much the 10 responding to what the PSA 9 is doing. We're going to see the 9 respond to the 10. So therefore, the 10 is the value setter. The 10 is the better investment.
I know we saw that. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I actually mentioned it to Sasha. We saw like Luka's were like $950 as the PSA 10. Raws were $200, and the PSA 9s were also $200. So I was like, Sash, we both think the PSA 9s are more than the Raws, and I personally didn't buy any. And look what the PSA 9s are now. They're like $350, and I think the Raws are around the same as where they were, maybe $250.
And it was with Lamar too. Remember?
Who?
Lamar.
Oh yeah.
I think we talked about it. The 9 like what was it, 150 or something like that?
Yeah.
And then it shot up to like 350 in like a couple of days, which is insane. I do think that 9s, because it's just slabbed, like Michael mentioned, I think it will get, a premium. I just do, because I think the process of you turning a raw card into a 9 still has value. And I think, again, the new people coming in, they'll want to take a PSA 9 and pay a little bit more or some sort of premium over the raw. For us, we'd rather take the raw because we have a chance of being able to turn it into a 10. But in general, as we're seeing, gem rates kind of, not as high as before, we also are seeing PSA 10s get a great premium. And I know some people are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to sub cards anymore if I keep getting, 30% gem rates." But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but PSA 10s, you're still making money even if you're getting, a 30, 40% gem rate, just because the 10s that you do get, you're making bank. So what, like, I know, Shaya, for you, it's been a little bit rough these last couple of weeks. But are you going to continue grading cards or yeah, for sure?
Yeah, I'm for sure going to keep grading cards. My approach now is from the raw, because there's some cards right now that the PSA 9 sells the same as the raw. So I'm not looking for those cards. I'm looking to buy those cards that as a raw, they sell for, let's say, 20. Let's say the PSA 9 sells for 80 or 70 or whatever it may be, and the PSA 10 sells for 200 or 300 or whatever it may be. So whatever I get besides an 8 or lower, I'm going to make money off whatever I initially put into it. And even as I said, with the 30%, I still made money off the cards. Yeah. I sent in a Shea Blue, a Shea Silver. Like, Mike was trying to get the Shea Blue off of me when at the Burbank trade night and even before that. And I said, I'm going to hold it. And because I did and I subbed it, that time passed and Shea just decided to explode. And that card's obviously not worth $200 anymore. So that's also a big plus of grading, is it avoids you from selling early. But it can also be very bad because let's say you sent some Bol Bol Prism rookies in and now you wanted to sell, and now you don't have them. So it's kind of a give and take. So I would be, I will continue grading personally. I'm not going to be discouraged.
Gotcha. I know Micael will continue too, so I don't even feel like that's a
My numbers are I'm just upping my numbers is all.
no. I think this is a fucking fantastic show, but I want to have one more question, because we did mention the Mavs do play the Lakers tonight. What is your prediction for LeBron stats and Luka stats, and then also who wins? What's the score at the end of the game?
I'll say Luka has 15, 5, and 5 in the first quarter and then doesn't play. And I'll say that LeBron has 10 assists at least in the first quarter, with like maybe 5 points, maybe like a dunk and just like a dope three. And I will say that the Lakers win. Just because every guy on that squad really, really, I think, wants to win for LeBron and wants to and we're going to see a lot of these guys that are basically, replacement players and just getting asked to come play and stuff, and they're going to have a lot to prove playing for the Lakers and stuff like that. So I think the Lakers have more on the line just as far as their bottom rung players, even though it's a scrimmage, to try and really prove themselves. Whereas I think the Mavericks are more kind of laid back and which is kind of funny because you would think the Lakers would be like that instead. So my prediction is Lakers win based off their lower run guys closing it out in the final quarter. And LeBron has 10 dimes in the first quarter, and Luka has a 15, 5, and 5 stat line.
I think Lakers will win as well. I'm not sure how each team is kind of approaching these scrimmages. Like, I don't know if they're trying to limit the stars' minutes or whatever it may be. I'm going to guess Luka has like 20 points, a couple assists, couple rebounds. I don't know. And I think LeBron will have like 10 points, 12 assists, and 5 rebounds. And he won't play after the third quarter. That's my prediction, and Lakers will win.
I love it. All right, guys, I appreciate having you guys on. It means a ton to me. This is our 4th time doing it, so hopefully there'll be a 5th coming out next week. But for all the viewers that are watching and listening, where could they, reach out to you, talk to you, and find you on Instagram?
Reach out to me anytime you guys want at Coleman_cards on Instagram. Ask me any hobby questions you got. As far as investment advice, I'm pretty slim, but I don't want to be telling you guys how to spend your money. But any questions you have for more information, feel free to reach out to me. I'm down to answer any questions anytime.
And I am at Steeler Cards on Instagram. DM me whenever as well, and hopefully I will check my requests box as soon as possible.
I love it. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. If you want, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and then let us know what you guys think below in the comment section as well. But we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Sash. Thanks, everybody.